This is Buffalo State Data Talk, the podcast where we introduce you to how data is used and explore careers that involve data.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Buffalo State Data Talk. I'm your host, Heather Campbell, and we appreciate you joining us. We're going to be having a discussion with Lauren Kirschmeyer and Melanie McGovern of the Better Business Bureau of Upstate New York. Lauren is a Buffalo State alumni and the Marketing and Outreach Coordinator, and Melanie is the Communications Director. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lauren and Melanie.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So I'm sure basically everyone has heard of the Better Business Bureau before, or BBB, but could you start us off by telling us a little bit of background of what is the BBB and what do they do?
I will take that question. So the Better Business Bureau has been around for over 100 years. We are an organization that is not a government agency. We are a nonprofit. We accredit businesses on 13 factors of accreditation. The businesses do pay for their accreditation. That money then in turn goes to community programs, such as our dispute resolution services. You always hear people say, I'm going to the Better Business Bureau. So what we do is we act as the neutral third party between a business and a consumer to resolve a complaint. We also have a lot of community programs that Lauren and I manage, including a lot of wonderful programs for senior citizens, identity theft education, scam alerts, programming for high school students. We work with chambers of commerce across upstate New York to get BBB information to all of our communities because we are a statewide organization. We are based in Buffalo, though. So there's a lot of things that we do that people might not be aware of.
That's a lot of stuff that you guys are doing. So Lauren, can you give us a little bit of an overview of what it is that you do for the BBB?
Of course. There's a lot of different hats that I wear, and Melanie will say the same thing when she talks about what she does, but a lot of what I do involves our social media. So we have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So if you're not following us, be sure to give us a follow. I also work on our scam webinars and scam prevention seminars when we are able to do in-person appearances. I do our ethics presentations with high school students to educate them on how to live an ethical life now and how that can help them as they go into their careers or even into college. I do our trade show management as well. So when trade shows are able to happen, we are able to go to home shows, bridal shows, car shows. Melanie usually takes the car shows. But that way we can not only talk to consumers about how to look for someone that they can trust when it comes to their home or their wedding to make sure they're getting the most out of their money too, but also just to meet up with our accredited businesses and see if there's anything that we can do for them, not only for that event, but just to help their business grow.
Yeah, that's a long list of duties that you have. Lauren, how would you say your time is split between working with others versus working independently?
There's a lot of things I do independently, such as the video editing. There are certain tasks that are more of an individual project, but a lot of what we do is collaborative, not just in our own department, but we also collaborate a lot with other departments in our building because at the end of the day, we're trying to expand the BBB brand, and that can only happen if we work together as a team.
Melanie, as the communications director, could you give us an overview of what you do and what a typical week looks like for you?
There's no such thing as a typical week in our organization. So as communications director, I manage our department. You know, one of my biggest jobs is to keep us in the news, to keep us relevant, to make sure that if there are trending scams, which we'll talk about a little bit later, we're getting the word out to the public about that. I also manage all of our email outreach and a lot of our website, dealing with consumers, getting their stories out to the reporters, talking to them on the phone, working with them, and listening to our accredited business team when they're talking to the businesses. You have 3 calls in the last hour and they're all asking you the same thing. Maybe we need to build an educational piece around that. So there's that whole outreach, external communication portion, including our community partner program where we reach out to chambers, business organizations, get them involved with BBB on a grassroots level. It's funny, I was just going through a bunch of chamber emails, putting golf outings on my calendar because it's great exposure for us with bigger businesses to say, look, here's the Better Business Bureau, you should support us and our mission. It's great for me to get out there and network. So as the world reopens, my networking aspect of my job is coming back, which I really enjoy, meeting people and getting to know communities.
It sounds like you do a lot of networking. Could you maybe just give us a quick tip on your favorite networking tips? I know that a lot of the time students find networking to be quite daunting. So how do you go about becoming better at it?
That's a really great question. A lot of it is just have that confidence to be able to walk up to somebody and introduce yourself. Sometimes I call it sidling. I'll stand by a conversation and listen in, and then just kind of work my way into that little semicircle of people and start talking that way. Sometimes it's great to have a colleague or a coworker take you somewhere. So if they've got those connections, they can walk you around. Lauren and I do that we used to do that with each other a lot before the pandemic. But the biggest thing is just feel the confidence when you walk in the room. You know, if people can see that you have confidence, they're going to come up to you. They're going to want to talk to you. So those are just a couple of things I can think of off the top of my head. Do not pull out your phone. That's the worst thing you can do. We actually did a webinar for the International Association of Better Business Bureaus last year. That was our number one tip to not do, is do not pull out your phone. If you're feeling nervous, just stand there and look around the room, and somebody will eventually come over to you. Or if you see somebody doing the same thing, walk over to them and say, "Hey, how are you? You know, I'm Melanie McGovern with the Better Business Bureau." And, you know, sometimes you meet people and sometimes you don't, but it's always just really good to put yourself out there that way.
Those are great tips. I love that. I think it's a really great idea to have a networking buddy, especially if you are a little bit nervous. Don't maybe
hang
stick
out
with them the whole
night.
time. Exactly, yeah. But, maybe start off together, and then once you get that confidence that you said you needed, then you can go off on your own.
Exactly.
A great thing to do too when you're networking with someone, is see if they have a business card, or at least get their name, take down that name. So if you do pull that phone out, if you don't have a notepad with you or anything, then maybe write their name down in your phone and put it away real quick. And then write on that business card, I think I might have taken this from Melanie, write down where it was that you met them from, or something from that conversation that you had with them. So when you do want to reach back out, whether you connect with them on LinkedIn, or you're calling them about something, or you see them at a future event, you could say, "Oh, I remember that person. I met them at this event. This is something that they like." So when you go back to them, then you have that little bit of personal connection already, and then they'll feel more valued because you remembered something about them in the long run.
That's such a great tip, especially coming from someone who doesn't have the greatest memory. Writing it down on the business card, great idea. I'm going to start doing that. Lauren, so you said that you are heavily involved with the BBB social media.
Yes.
So can you talk to us a little bit about the analytics that you use to track social media engagement? And could you also maybe tell us about a time where your results helped you to improve the BBB's social media presence?
Absolutely. Social media, every month, what I do is I build a report that is then sent to our management team at BBB, but also our board of directors. And they take a look at it and see what it is that we're posting, because maybe they didn't get to see everything that we shared. And that report includes not only how many people we were able to reach, but how many people engaged with our posts, what our top posts were. I also started including engagement rate and link clicks, because that really gives us a better idea of what people are doing with our data, not just saying this many people engaged with the post. Well, that gives it a little bit more of that in-depth kind of look and see who's actually interacting with the links and reading what we're sharing. And then we also do a annual audit to see how our 2020 numbers, for example, compared to our 2019 numbers. And especially with the pandemic, that was an interesting report to look at to see how things changed. What I do then with the data too, both monthly and annually, is I see, okay, what posts were doing great and maybe what posts weren't doing so well, and how could we take what was doing great and implement that into what wasn't working. So one of those success stories was I was sharing articles that are available on bbb.org about either scams and how to prevent yourself from falling for them, or it's home improvement season. These are the things that you should be asking your contractors before you give them money and have them start working on your home, because you're going to be in your home for a long time and it's an expensive project. These articles weren't necessarily getting that much engagement. They weren't getting those link clicks. So we were like, okay, what can we do to get people to still get this information because it's very valuable. So I went to Melanie and I said, can we create a video segment still sharing the same information, but it's either me on camera or her on camera, and we're just saying those points that are in the article, but giving it a more visual appeal. People like seeing other people. They like looking at videos, and I include captions on all of them too, because I know not everyone could always listen to those videos. And now having the video segment, sometimes those are our most popular posts because people are seeing value in it. They're sharing it with other people that they know that can connect with it, versus just seeing the article link and thinking, oh, I don't have the time to read that right now, and glancing over it or just completely bypassing it. So having that video segment really did help us. And now Melanie likes to say imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. And a lot of other BBBs in the system are now taking those ideas and implementing them into their Better Business Bureau locations. So that's been fun to see. It's been a success all across the system.
It's great that you were able to take the data that you saw from tracking your engagement and the likes and the clicks and make actionable results that have improved. Mm-hmm. And then other people are now following you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So, Melanie, you mentioned before the scam tracker. I know that's a big part of what the BBB does. So could you give us a little bit of background on like what it is, and then tell us how you use data in this area?
So BBB Scam Tracker was soft launched in October of 2015 because we needed a way to really report to the public what's going on in their area. So it's on our website, bbb.org/scam tracker. It's an interactive map. So wherever you live, you can move the map over to your state, your region, right down to to your town, and you'll see all of these little dots. And those are scams. When you click on the scam, you scroll down to the bottom, there's a list, and it'll tell you what the zip code is, what the scam is, how much money was lost. And when you click on it, you can see the description of what actually happened, which is really important because what we see with scams, there's a lot of, words that are the same. Like, I ordered this from an ad on social media, or, I got a call from, insert national name brand here. So it's a really great way for people to report what happened. We get the reports first, then we analyze them here. There's two of us who do that. We make sure it really is a scam, because a lot of times people will think it's the place to file complaints and they'll put a complaint in Scam Tracker. So it doesn't get published right away. We actually look at it, make sure it's a scam, confirm it's a scam, and then it gets published. If we see what we call a pattern, we will refer it to law enforcement. We'll work with any kind of agency that might be involved. If it's regarding a certain company, we'll reach out to them and say, hey, somebody's spoofing your name. So it's a really great way for us to get real-time crowdsourced information on the scams that are going on in any particular area, especially when we had a lot of phone scams a few years ago, the whole "can you hear me" phone scam that was going around. Now we're seeing a real big uptick in texting scams because of the pandemic. So it's great for me as the chief spokesperson to know, okay, I need to issue an alert on this, or I need to find victims for that. But it's indexed by Google. So if somebody's searching for a scam, that BBB Scam Tracker report's going to pop up, and then they'll know, oh, this is real. I better not answer that email or answer that phone call or call that person back.
I definitely got one of those "can you hear me" phone calls a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I got a lot of them too.
Yeah. So can you tell me something that was the most challenging part of your work and how you overcame it?
Ooh, I'll go first. I started here in 2014, and it's I started as an assistant, and it was overcoming this is the way we've always done it in a lot of ways with some of the staff that's no longer here. They've moved on to other things, but being able to evolve is something, especially, in my stage of my career, I see a lot of people who I'm professional colleagues with who don't understand like how digital marketing is now, how data-driven, how analytics-driven marketing is now. There's a lot of people who just don't realize I have got like 6 spreadsheets up, a dashboard here, and then a dashboard on my other screen where I'm looking at numbers, I'm looking at data. All day long. And I joked, I used to I'm a Fredonia graduate, and I used to teach once a semester, like talk to like journalism and marketing students. And they're like, what's different when you started this job than today? I said, I cannot believe how much of my job relies on data, like proving ROI every day, having KPIs, like the key performance indexes, indicators thrown at you, like you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to hit this many media mentions a month. Those types of things, again, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we didn't even have social media. So, having that be such a driver has been a challenge, but it's been an awesome challenge because, we always talk about my degree is in radio and journalism. I don't use either of those, but I do because of the critical thinking you learn and being able to articulate, your message through the data that you have and the analytics that you have. So being able to just evolve, I guess, in my career it's been a challenge, but it's been awesome.
So it does sound like you guys are extremely busy. So are you able to set aside time for professional development? And if so, what kind of activities do you do?
I'll go first. I am grateful that Melanie allows me to take courses or attend webinars and training sessions. So for that Sprout Social, for example, they recently did a summit where they had people who utilize that platform come on and talk about how they're using it, ways that they're using it to message to their audiences. And then I usually come out with an idea or two of things, even if it's not what they talked about, it's something that sparked an idea for me. And then I bring that to Melanie. And I'm sure that's how our Tip Tuesday idea came about, because I'm almost positive they were talking about videos a year or two ago. And I was like, Melanie, we should do this. To bring data back in too, Melanie and we meet with Nathan. We've been meeting with him, it seems like every other week, sometimes even once a week, to talk about data. And he's been training us in Adobe Analytics so that we can use that data to see, okay, this many people were on our website specifically looking up businesses in upstate New York or businesses just in Buffalo. And these are the kind of businesses that they're looking for. And then using that data for us to then share with our other teams in our office. So we're learning a lot about data through Nathan too. So it's fun working with people in other offices to continue growing, kind of like Melanie said, networking with those other leaders and learning from them and growing from them. So now we're trying to up our analytics game to try and even become a better marketing department.
So that actually leads perfectly into my next question, because both of you guys' backgrounds is in journalism and communications. So I'm sure you didn't necessarily think that you were going to be spending a lot of your time analyzing data and crunching numbers. So could you give some advice to somebody maybe who is interested in switching into a data field from a background like yours? What advice do you have?
I was a journalist for 2 years for a local newspaper. And from that, I learned how to craft my messaging, what's going to get people excited about what we're sharing. Then from there, I went to do marketing for a real estate company. And to me, that position I happened to have at that time was very cut and paste. And that made me realize how creativity really does have an impact on how people are going to be attentive to you and the messaging that you're putting out. And then I did public relations for a school district for 3 years before I came to BBB. And that helped me learn how to share my messaging to quite a vast audience, because it wasn't just students you were talking to. It wasn't just the faculty and the teachers and the administrators, but also the parents and the community taxpayers, and being able to share that messaging and take that feedback from all those different audiences and figure out what that messaging is. So now with adding data to it through my role at BBB, I'm taking all of those skills that I've learned in those other positions. And now with that data, I can really make the impact go further, because now we have actual real-time data to share with people. So one of the things we've been talking about is if someone comes to us with a rebuttal, or if they're asking us, well, how many people are even searching my type of business on your website, we can say, oh, we have that message crafted with them. Like, this is our response, and here's why they should become part of BBB, or this is why they should come use our services if they're a consumer or become a partner with us. So taking those skills of being able to talk to that large audience, having that creative messaging, and now adding that data to just further support what we're putting out there and sharing our brand message.
I think it's so important what you were saying, that, yeah, of course, the data, super important. But you have to be able to get that data across to people in a way that's going to be meaningful to them. And that's
you don't want them to be bored.
Yeah. And that's where your background comes in and works perfectly. So you guys both live in Buffalo. Could you tell me how you ended up in Buffalo and why you chose to live and stay in Buffalo?
I was born and raised in Buffalo, and I'm a proud Buff State alum. Go Bengals! as well as a lot of my family members, too. A lot of my family went to Buff State, so it's, for me, exciting to be on this podcast with you today. But I was able to make some great connections when I went to Buff State. And one of the events that they promoted was a job fair when I was in my last semester of my undergrad. And I went to that job fair. I handed someone a resume, and they said, "We're not looking for anyone right now, but we'll keep your resume on file." And next thing I know, a few weeks later, I got a call saying someone actually just quit, and we really liked your resume. We'd love to have you on. So being able to make those connections when I was at Buff State really set me up for success to start my career here in Buffalo. And then going to all those different networking events through my different jobs, meeting other people, helped me continue furthering my career right here in my hometown, which is very lucky, and not as many people are fortunate enough to say that they were even able to find a job in their career that they were hoping to go for and that they studied for. So to continue just finding new opportunities here has kept me here, and continue learning and meeting new people. And then Buffalo is just great. I feel like over the past several years, starting with when I was getting ready to graduate from Buff State, that it was starting to become a more exciting city, that more things were happening here. People were really investing in different areas and making them more interactive and trying to get people attracted to going to events in different areas of the city. And having that kind of uprising has been exciting to see and witness, and just keep seeing the city grow. So seeing all of that growth and excitement has kept me here too.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's also helped the BBB a lot. Lots of new businesses for you guys to partner with.
I have a Lauren Buff State story.
Ooh.
Oh, goodness.
So Lauren, like back when the pandemic first started, we were scrambling, we were trying to find content. Lauren had a connection she went to school with, and through talking with her and some of her team members, long story short, we were able to be the first organization to have the lieutenant governor come on to talk about what the state was doing in regards to closures, what businesses were essential, what businesses were deemed non-essential. I'm still convinced to this day that it was our BBB accredited landscapers who changed their destiny with the state by asking all the questions. But because of Lauren's great networking connections that she made at Buff State, I think you bumped into Jessica at an event or something, and all of a sudden,
we were in Albany,
yeah. All of a sudden, here's the. Would you like the lieutenant governor? Yes, please.
Yes.
And that's Buffalo's the biggest small town in the world. Mm-hmm. When I talk to younger people, I always say never burn a bridge, because you never know when they're going to come back at you. That was one of those moments of like, yay for alumni connections, because it just really, helped us a lot. So yay Buff State.
You never know when somebody that might turn into a connection that you can use for your job or your career in the future.
Exactly.
So before we let you go, is there anything else you guys want our listeners to know that we didn't get a chance to cover?
I would just, tacking on to what Melanie was just saying about you never know what people are going to come back to you in the future, and that it's important not to burn those bridges, especially since this is a younger audience that's listening to this. Be careful with what you're sharing online, and be careful with what you're liking and interacting with online, because you don't know what businesses are what we call like farming, which means that they're putting up fake profiles just to get people to interact with them and then selling that information. There's a lot of different things to worry about on the internet. And then Melanie and I do a lot of presentations about reputation management and how important that is. And we value ethics and trust and honesty in the marketplace. So starting that now, when you're still a student and going on and starting your career, having that positive online reputation to begin with, people are going to be looking at what you're sharing online and the image that you're putting out there about yourself and who you're interacting with. And that's going to either make or break your career. So it's really important to think about what you're sharing now and what you're doing as your personal brand online, because it can, again, make or break your future.
Mm-hmm. That's really important. And for any of our listeners who are interested in learning a little bit more about, building your personal brand on LinkedIn, go back and listen to our previous episodes about internships over the summer, and you'll be able to learn lots more on that topic. Well, Melanie and Lauren, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. This was great.
This was fun. Thank you.
And to all of our listeners, if you haven't already, check out our previous podcasts. They're available wherever you listen to podcasts. And for more information about starting your career as a data scientist, go to dataanalytics.buffalostate.edu. And don't forget to subscribe so that you get a notification each time we release a new episode of Buffalo State Data Talk.